welcome to Esports Connected. It's just a pleasure to have you to hear about all things 7 a.m. from across the pond. A great big welcome to our member, John Smith-Howell. How you doing today, John?
I'm good, thank you. How about you? How about yourself?
Very, very good. Very good. Happy February.
Yes, it's this year's going quick already. It's only just started.
It is. I see that you have some fancy attire behind you, and I saw a video yesterday, and you're really bringing it today. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we managed to get our brand new jersey professionally produced by a film company who had models involved, and yeah, they were really hyped to sort of get involved with esports, and they'd never done a project like this before, and I just said, there you go for it. You know, look at our brand, look at what we do, and the sort of content that we produce, and then bring it to us. And yeah, they absolutely smashed it out of the park. I had goosebumps when I first watched that video. It was fantastic.
Me too. It was really, really well done. I mean, what a launch. Such a great day to have you. Actually, if you want to play the video, you do have some share screen capabilities. It would be great.
Yeah.
Proud moment for you, and a big congratulations. A lot of collaboration went into that. So tell us.
Yeah, the shirt is produced by a company called Sector 6, who actually based in Texas in the States, and they had never worked with a European organization before, but they really wanted to branch out into Europe. So we were the first esports team for them to work out here in Europe. So for us, we wanted to bring something special to them, get their name out here in Europe, allow them to expand their business, but of course then, you know, really helping our exposure, and also, you know, allowing us to sell shirts in 2 different continents. You know, for such a small organization, on the grand scheme of things, to be able to sell our jersey from anyone in Europe and to sell it out in the States without having to have, you know, pay huge shipping fees, you know, for just 1 or 2 orders, is really good tool for us to have, and certainly helps with our expansion.
Right. Tell us a little bit about your expansion.
So I mean, currently we wanted to, initially it was about Europe. We wanted to make sure that we get a good firm hold within Europe. We currently sit within the Benelux region predominantly, and we wanted to make sure that our brand was well known, and that anyone could just see our logo without seeing Team 7 a.m. know, that's Team 7 a.m. That was the whole purpose of the brand in the first place. Everything was thought about with business and marketing in mind. It was all very strategic from the beginning. And you know, within the Benelux region, I think we've achieved that in the game titles that we operate in. We've achieved that home branding, and people know our logo and they know who we are, and they think, and the perception is that we have this high quality content and this humble attitude, and that's exactly what we wanted out of this. Yeah, but for me, it's always, we should always reach for the stars. So if you're going to set a goal, then set it in front with some milestones in between, so that we can continue to hit those milestones whilst the bigger picture continues to build. And the bigger picture, of course, is international stage, and to be a well-known brand across across the world internationally, and for everyone to know who we are. And for me, the North American scene is a scene that we needed to go into next. So 2021 is about continuing our European brand awareness, you know, through other titles. We have a new team that is coming into Team 7 a.m. this week, that's unannounced, in a brand new game title, in a new country that we've never operated in Europe. So we're really excited to get that out. So while continuing to expand our brand over here, we can also start to make our plans to make our brand appearance in North America, and the wider world.
Wow. Well, you're a busy guy. You are a busy guy. That is for sure.
I need some more time in the day. That's for sure.
Yeah, what I really get in talking with you is, and from like the very first time we spoke, is your passion. So, the time does fly
It
when
does.
you're just so excited and passionate about what you're doing, and that is so obvious.
Yeah.
The other thing that I remember that stuck out was something about how long your players have stayed with you. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? I loved your philosophies.
Yeah, we have a number of players that have been with us now, almost since the beginning, since 2 years. And we one player in particular, Alex, who joined us, he was with us at the very start, and he left us probably about 4 months in, and he came back probably about 6 months ago, and he couldn't find anything else better. He couldn't find a home that suited, and he couldn't wait to get back here, and I was excited to have him back because he's a fantastic talent. For me, it just proved that we're doing the right things. People want to be here, and we get a lot of requests from lots of different people who want to come and work with us, come and join the team. And I think it's just that humble being that we and that humble persona that we give, and it's about the players. It's not about me. It isn't about me. I've had my career. I played my games. I traveled all over where I wanted to travel and played tournaments, won, lost, all of the blood, sweat, and lots of tears. I've done that. For me, it's about giving back to everybody else, using my experience and leveraging that, and helping all the other players, the community, the esports industry grow, and learn from some of the mistakes that I don't think we've learned from over the last sort of 20 years.
Well, maybe what we should start with is, what have you done? Why 7 a.m.? Why don't we start with everything you've done up until now, and then maybe talk about what's next?
Okay, so 7 a.m. Was purely created because I wanted to do it right. Over the 20 years, I have been in countless number of teams, organizations, some very good, some very bad, and then lots and lots in between. And I learn. I'm a very observant learner, so everything I see, I'm learning. I'm learning all day long, every day. I take everything. I take the good and bad from everybody, use that to my advantage, use the good, and think about the bad and how I can avoid from doing that. And I've done that over the years from different players and business people that I've met. And I just saw this gap in the industry that people seem to split teams. So you either are a professional organization or you're a community. Community teams tend to have lots of teams who their skill level isn't normally that good. They're just a community, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. We need those. And then you have these professional teams who only concentrate on these professional players, but they don't build a community. They just expect or assume people will follow them, and if they don't follow you, then they don't follow you. And I don't like that. I think that's wrong. Well, why can't we do both? Why can't we have a professional structure and be a business whilst build a community, give back to those grassroots communities, give back to those students, get other people involved, engage with everybody around you, and then merge this community, which we know has lots and lots of people in it, and then have a professional structure and be competing with the best that you can compete. And that is the purpose of Team 7am, is to do that, and bring those two things together, and engage with everybody. And it's tiresome. I'm forever talking to people, but you know what? I really enjoy that. I want to do that. I want people to be able to reach out to me. I always sit in Discord, open with people, always happy to chat. Lots of people come in and talk to us. And that's really, really important for me and my team, that everybody feels welcome. First time or 100th time, just jump in that channel and say, hey, without thinking, who are these guys? Is anyone even going to talk to me?
What a great leadership style you're forming, and it sounds ever evolving.
Absolutely. Leadership is really important to me. Management in general is something that's really important to me, and I've learned lots of skills over from my normal career life, my normal day-to-day jobs, from managing people. And one manager in particular taught me a lot about managing people, that everybody has to be managed differently. Some people you can shout and scream at and they'll be like, yeah, okay, no worries, I understand. Some people need a very, very different approach, and everybody actually needs to be managed very, very differently and individually. We can set the same expectations, but managing those expectations have to be done differently. And there's no different dealing with people. So just because you don't manage that person, and that person is a community member who comes in, that person is engaged differently. So you use different engagement methods to engage with them, and it's just about learning who you're dealing with and actually taking an interest. I think that's the most crucial thing. Take an interest in what they're doing, what they're saying. Who are they? What are you doing here? Why have you joined our Discord? What do you play? What do you do for fun? Always feel free to pop in if you want to. It's just being open and empowering the people around you to do the same.
Yeah, even though when I saw you launch your jersey brand yesterday, I just knew it was more than a shirt. There's something about what's going on over there across the pond, and that's very attractive in your journey that I just see growing.
Yeah, it was a statement. It was a statement from the small ant on a humongous, ant hill, compared to the misfits and the G2s and the 100 Thieves and the multi-million-dollar companies that sit up there. Us small ants can produce quality and high quality, and we can be on brand. And we can do all the good things that you guys can do without the $100,000, price tag that goes along with it. Of course, it's more difficult for us, but it doesn't excuse for non-high quality content. How big you are doesn't excuse, for non-high quality content. So it was a statement for us, for all the orgs and our competitors that work with us within our region. It was a statement of who we are, and this is only the start. We haven't even started yet. This is only the beginning.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Wow. So you mentioned challenges. Talk to me a little bit about the challenges that you're having.
So the challenges for an organization of our size, unfortunately, always comes down to one thing: it's financials. If you don't have an investor, if you don't have your own money and a substantial amount of money to invest, or if you don't have sponsors that can fund you, then it always comes down to finances. Building a team of great players that don't want a salary is difficult, because there's lots of competition, yes, our offering as a brand and as a organization and as a management team is probably the best in our level of organization, and I'm more than happy to say that. But we have to be realistic that these players want something more, and they want some salary, and they want that support. They want to be able to full-time play, and then we need to make sure that these guys are covered. That's part of our job. And we have lost some fantastic players who would have loved to have joined our brand, but couldn't, because we weren't able to financially support them. And that is our biggest challenge. I can continue to brand out this business and market the business as we are, but ultimately we need to our teams need to catch up in terms of competitiveness and skill. But we can only do that when we can start to support them a bit better financially and attract those bigger and better players. Our attraction is already very, very good, but we miss that crucial thing, which comes down to financials.
So tell me a little bit about that. What does it take? And I'm going to ask that in a general way, because as a business person myself, my advanced degree is in industrial organizational psychology, so I find it all fascinating. And it sounds like you're truly managing your growth, taking in smart money, managing great players to the best of your abilities. Am I hearing that right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about what could make a difference from small to mid-sized to large, with your comfort level and your style of leadership, your team, your company, etc.
I think essentially to be able to compete, we need to make sure that we're competing with other teams at the same level or better. We have a great offering already. I've said that, and being able to give financial support to those players only adds to that value. And it's not just about that value. It's not all just about money. It's what other things can we do for them. So something that in the industry that isn't taken care of, are all players at this level paying tax on their income? Probably not. Are they paying pensions, contributions? Definitely not. Are they being supported in any other way? Are they, or are they just, are we helping make them create themselves a brand so that they can continue to progress themselves as a player? Are we supporting them mentally from a mental health perspective? And a lot of the answers to those questions are partly or no. And most of that comes down to financial support. We want to be able to support them better, and we want to be able to employ people and to get this industry to a stage where it's an actual career path for everybody. People need to be employed. Currently that doesn't really happen until you're really on that tier one level with the G2s and the 100 Thieves. Much below that doesn't happen because there's no scope for that. Or there is scope, but organizations and businesses choose not to do that. They take advantage of someone being self-employed, and then there's lots of other issues, like I just said. All there's tax issues, and there's no pension contributions, and eventually the governments will start to pick up on this. They're not silly. They see esports growing and growing and growing and growing, and you see on LinkedIn all day these huge numbers that are getting thrown around about the esports world. Well, one day they're going to come knocking and going, "Oh, hey, that's great. You guys have got this huge industry. Let's talk about tax. Let's talk about tax, guys." And then everyone's going to go quiet very, very quickly. And we need to do that now. We need to support players in other areas. It's not just about the brand and some money. What else can we do to add value to our brand, our business, and more importantly, what else we can give to that player?
Right. Yep. There is no greater resource than your people, and you've really got that. How many people are on your team?
So as an organization, we sit around 40 in total, and that's between the teams and the coaches and the management staff.
So are you coming to our Esports Next event, March 22nd and 23rd?
Well, I would like to. I just need to wait until a little bit closer to the time to see what schedules and everything looks like. My wife's about to give birth any day. She's overdue by a week, so it literally could be tonight. It could be tomorrow. So yeah, just need to see what that looks like. I'll need to make sure I can take some time off and spend some time with the wife and the baby.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I didn't realize. Is this your first?
Third.
Oh, third. It's so quiet over there.
They're upstairs. They're well trained. Hopefully the wife didn't hear that. No, they understand my passion. They understand what I do, and that that sometimes I just need to, if I'm in meetings or something, they go and play upstairs, and the wife will go upstairs and leave me to it and let me do my work.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said. There's this people that are working and they love what they do. It's not really work. So you probably just go from one chair, like you're in, to your chair at your dinner table, and you're relating very similarly. And so, not overly stressed, or you come across as very fulfilled in what you're doing.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any point getting stressed. Stress just makes you make wrong decisions or snappy decisions. And do I get stressed? Of course I do. I'd be lying if I sat here and said I didn't.
Right.
But you have to learn to take yourself away from those situations and go, right, you know what, I'm tired. And I say it to the guys because I'm the oldest in the organization. I'm 33, so I'm the boomer. And I'll come on and talk to the guys at Discord and I'll say, you know what, guys, I'm tired today. Today's not a good day. I'm grumpy. I'm going to go offline. I'll catch you guys later. I've got my mobile phone if you need me. If I've got no meetings, happy days. You just have to admit to yourself, you're tired, you're a bit grumpy, you're a bit stressed. So just take yourself away, because you only do things subconsciously, and you start making decisions that you're not really thinking about properly, because they're emotional decisions. They're not business decisions. They're not thought through. They're very
Sure.
emotional kind. I'm not in a great mood today, so I don't like you did this, whatever it may be. But would you have said the same thing on a day when you're not feeling tired and you're not stressed, and you're not just feeling a little bit, I don't want to be here today?
Yeah, I can relate to that. As my career advanced and I fell into doing more of what I loved, or like as I walked toward doing what I loved, the unplugging, it takes something, like I
Yeah.
have to make myself unplug. And when you love what you do, it's part of that, you talking about the wellness and the mental health.
Yeah.
It's amazing how charged back, we come.
It is. And you know what? It's really hard, because you think to yourself, I've got things to do. I could do this tonight. I could do that tonight. But sometimes you just need to just say, okay, I'm out for the day, and go out, do something. Not that we can do that currently, of course. We're still locked down, but just take yourself away. Even if it's for a few hours, you will feel much, much better. And you just have to make sure and make a stand and argue with yourself in your head. You have that argument. Yeah, but you can do all this. Yeah, but just take 10 minutes. Just chill. It's difficult. It doesn't always work, but you have to try.
I mean, from being a player yourself to leading a team and being a father and maintaining a balance, it's just really great to see you're really walking the walk.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic journey, and you know what? I wouldn't change anything. Absolutely nothing at all. It's everybody says it when you're a bit younger, that everything kind of happens for a reason, and and it does. And as a youngster, you don't think that. You think everything's against you, and you wonder why. But you know what? It's all character building, and I'm a much, much stronger person and character because of the issues that I faced as a child and as a teenager. And I wouldn't be the man I am today without those. And you look back and realize, actually, you know what? That's fine. I'm strong enough to do that. I'd rather it happen to me than somebody else who mentally probably isn't tough enough to do that. So I can take that on the chin and carry on.
Isn't that great? Because it really is, life really is carrying forward.
Mhm.
With whatever it is. And none of us are getting out of here alive. And we're all getting our hits. We're all getting our hits. And I'll tell you, being in community and doing it together, and I can really hear that whatever it is you went through, which I'm more than welcome to hear, and it would be fascinating. It sounds like you're bringing forward with your team and really being there.
Absolutely. I feel, being 10 years older than most of the guys who sit
Yeah.
within my team, I feel, and they all call me dad in a way. And it's just one of those funny memes. And that's absolutely fine, because you know what? I will protect those guys until through thick and thin. I will be the shield. I will take the rubbish. That's my job. That's my responsibility. My business partner, he's 23 years old. But you know what? It's my responsibility to take the rubbish that comes with running a business, the pressures and the stresses. He doesn't need that. He's got other things to concentrate on, and there'll be time he can learn from me. I will shield him from all of that, and all of the guys. That's my responsibility to do that. I can take that pressure. They don't need to, but they can still learn, in a good environment where it isn't stressful, it isn't pressurized. And there's nothing wrong with that. And every leader and manager and business owner should take that stance. Your job is to protect the people around you, not to point fingers.
That's great. It's just basics. So, what's different now than probably for you, is the acceptance. I remember getting our first video game, and at that time, it wasn't wrong to play. It wasn't go outside and play with your friends. It was okay to play.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't wronged for the choices we made, based on our play. And I don't know if you were part of that, but I was just talking to somebody yesterday that said to me, Megan, imagine when you were playing your first game that you were made wrong to play. And I think the only thing that would be wrong, which I don't like to make things wrong or right, typically I try to stay in that gray. What I do where I could improve is play more, just period. We've almost lost the value of how important play is.
Yeah.
Not just unplugging, but play. What do you play? What makes you tick? Like what happens when you're not working? How do you take your breaks? So I would imagine you might have been part of that.
Yeah, I was part of both. So, at a younger age, at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, playing on the Nintendo and the Mega Drive, the really old consoles, you're absolutely right. It was fine to go and play. You could sit there and play Super Mario all day long, and nobody would say a word to you. You could complete Donkey Kong from start to finish.
That is right.
And no one would say nothing. And then fast forward maybe 3 or 4 years, and then computers started to get in, and the bigger consoles, the PlayStations came in, and all of a sudden it was like, you can't sit on there all day.
Right.
You need to go out and play. Huh? Why not? Why can't I? Why was it okay on the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive, and now it's not okay on the PlayStation or a PC or whatever device you're playing from? I don't know where that transition came from. I'm not sure. I don't know whether it was, maybe people think it's a fad at the beginning, these consoles coming out, it was just some fun, just some games, nobody was worried. And I think then when it got a bit more serious, and more and more people started to play, and it became much more serious than just playing some games, that it just didn't suit the lifestyle that all of our parents at that point had, and it wasn't the norm. You tend to bring up your children similar to how you were brought up. You obviously try and adapt to make some changes, and you take those good and bad, right, from your parents, and you try and adapt to make a better upbringing for your child. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that changed, but it definitely changed, and I was a part of both of those changes.
Interesting. Can you tell me a little bit about being part of both changes? I was part of 100% that it was okay. And then as a mature adult, I was part of it's not. And now I'm part of the evolution where not only is it okay, it's just absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
In balance, like everything else.
No, absolutely. So for me, so initially playing games, on the console was at a very young age. It didn't really engage me that much. I enjoyed playing those consoles. I generally did, but playing soccer or football, as we say over here, was much more my passion as a young age. I didn't want to be sat at home. Matter of fact, I hated computers. I had no interest in computers, no real interest in computer games. It just wasn't there. My passion was being out with my friends, playing football, doing the boys thing, and just messing around, having some fun. Wrestling was huge, when I was younger. So we were always wrestling and messing around, and that was predominantly my childhood until 13, and then that's when esports hit me, and that was my fork in the road. That was my life changer.
Okay, tell me about it.
Okay, so really interesting is that I actually left school at 13 years old, completely finished. Left school. I didn't engage at all with school. I just wasn't grasped by it. It didn't do anything for me. I was the absolute class clown. I would just sit there and mess around, making funny noises, throwing things at people. It just didn't capture me. It did nothing for me. So of course I didn't get on very well with the teachers. As a young kid, I've always been a bigger guy. No issue there. That's just been me. So of course kids think they can take advantage of that and try to bully me. I didn't stand up for any of that. I didn't take any rubbish as a child. So found myself in trouble either fighting for myself as self-defense, or in general just being a bit of a clown. The school basically just didn't put up with it, and they gave us some options and said that either we're going to exclude you from school, and we're going to ban you, and all the local schools are in touch with us and they won't accept you either, so you're going to have to travel miles and miles to even go to school, or you can do home education. We will support you, we will help you, we will send work to you. So my parents said, okay, well, look, neither of my parents drove at this point, so there was no other option really for us to do this home education, and they sent no support. Nothing. There was actually a scandal in the late 90s and the early 2000s in the UK, where schools were forcing children to do home education, but not taking them off the register. So they were still taking the funding for my place and using that funding elsewhere, and not actually informing the governing bodies that I now was doing home education. So I got absolutely nothing, no support, no nothing. And my dad ran a business of his own, and I went to work. At 13 years old, I went to work with my dad, and was helping him. Just he was a window cleaner. It wasn't some fantastic business. It was just window cleaning, and I went to help him. And one day I walked past the internet cafe, and it just piqued my interest. I thought, what is that? Seen some computers in there. I'd never played on a computer before. Was never interested, and went inside, and the guy that behind the counter, who was the owner of the store, said, are you coming to play some games? I was like, what games do you have? And he said, what games are you into? And I thought the only game I really enjoyed as a kid growing up was 007, James Bond. So I thought, I quite like shooting games, and I've always had an interest in military and army anyway. So for me, shooting games was natural. And he sat me down, and I started playing Counter-Strike. And I never left that place. I kept going back every single day. As soon as I finished work with my dad, I took my wages as such, because he would pay me for my time, and I would go straight to the internet cafe, and I would start playing Counter-Strike. And after a few weeks, the owner, Ranjit, said to me, do you not go to school? Like, why are you here every day at this time? Everybody else is at school, but you're here playing games. And then I explained to him the situation, and he was like, okay, fine. As long as your parents know that you're here and you're all good, then no issue. And then he said to me, well, look, if you're going to come here every day, and why don't you come in early, and you can clean the tables for me, clean the keyboards, the mouses, the monitors, help me set up, and then I'll give you free time on the PC. You don't need to pay. And within a year, I was then working there full time, learning how to fix PCs, learning how to deal with troubleshoot issues on the computers, and while still playing Counter-Strike, because I learned from a very good team, I was playing for the main team and winning tournaments at the age of 13, and the rest is history.
What a great story. I mean, you're really a legend. I must say that word, because it's so easy to let the tennis balls keep hitting you in the face. I'm thinking the machine, learning that tennis and the balls keep coming, and it's so easy to get resigned. It is so easy to sit on the bench at a game it is easier to be on the bleacher than it is to be on the court. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And then there's whatever was going on with you at school, whatever it was, that the missing that wasn't provided for you, that should have been, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And for you to just find a way, it's such a great story. It's such a fragile age, faced with so much resignation.
It was really tough, and I think the toughest thing I found was the social problem. So
Right.
initially, when I first left school, my friends would keep in contact, and oh, okay, you're going to come out on Saturday, we're going to go swimming, or we're going to go play football, we're going to do something. Yeah, of course, of course, of course. But then, as time went on, those messages stopped coming. Those door knocks for, is John coming to play? They stopped happening because I'm now not at school. I'm not with them on a day-to-day basis. I'm not in their social group anymore. That was tough. That was really, really tough socially to even though I had friends here on the internet and I could, play with my team, because, after about a year at the internet cafe, my parents brought me a PC for home, so I could then play at home, because that's what I, of course, wanted to do. So that helped with that, but it isn't the same. It isn't the social interaction that I was used to for majority of my life, being able to just go out and play with friends. And now I had to almost learn to re-socialize. And you know what? Most of the people playing all day or in the daytime were much older than I were. They were 18, 19, and 20 at the time. So then it was tough to be able to, because they socially didn't want to hang around with you, even online, because I wasn't in their age group. And the people at the internet cafe, again, were a lot older than me. So they didn't want to socialize with me either, because I was much younger than they were. Why would you hang around with a 13, 14-year-old kid as an 18, 19, 20-year-old? You wouldn't do that. And so that isolation was tough.
Right.
But I focused on my game and focused on playing and focused on learning. I have no formal qualifications. I've never took a test in my life. I have absolutely nothing, no qualifications, zilch. I focused on learning and making sure that I could do what I needed to go and do. And I read and I observed and I watched everything. Nothing got past me. I observe everything all day, every day, and I take everything in, chuck out the bad, take the good, use it to my advantage.
That's interesting. This morning, I was talking to one of my brothers, my brother Jim, and for some reason we brought up picture day at school. And it was fascinating. Did you know that on picture day, kids performed best? And I'm not a research guru, but here's what I do know. Dress for success. Get dressed up. Brings something to our spirit. So why do kids perform better during picture day? My brother had a completely different perception than I did. And he said, because we were special. So we got up a little earlier and our parents took a little more time. And we knew it was a special day and we were getting dressed to be special. And what do you know it? Test results on picture day are off the charts. What a great research. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
have my hands around it, but today, here you are in your jersey, all dappered up. And it's special. It is. It's a special jersey. And that man that worked at that cafe made a difference for you. One guy.
Absolutely. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Ranjit, who at the time I think was 25, 26, very successful businessman, led by his dad and his brother, who were very against me working there. Both his dad and his brother advised him not to do this. Of course, it was illegal at the time. You can't employ
Sure.
somebody at that age, and they both advised him not to do it. Whatever Ranjit saw in me as a youngster, he decided to carry on and ignore the advice of his father and his brother, and to continue, build this friendship. And I still talk to him now, and he's a huge, successful CEO who lives out in Dubai. Is a fantastic. He clearly had a very, very successful business life. But I don't know what he saw. I don't know. And if I asked him, he probably wouldn't tell me, because we got such a good friendship that he'd probably tell me to shut up and laugh at me or something, or to call me an idiot. I don't think he'll ever tell me. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you know what he did? He gave me a chance. He gave me an opportunity to show and to grow. And for that, I'll be forever thankful.
And you are, and you're paying it forward. And our journeys, particularly entrepreneurs, and that brings me back to are you going to be pitching? Because it is so cool, pitch day. The whole Shark Tank concept, the whole elevator pitch. I really hope if you're not, well, I actually really hope you do it. And I believe for our March conference, it's pre-recorded. So, and I think it's just 90 seconds. It is
Oh, wow.
literally an elevator pitch.
Wow.
And I think you would do fabulous. I think what is so cool about your story is your journey, clearly, and then just being comfortable and sharing.
Yeah.
What was so, am I big, or was I overweight, or bigger than the other kids, or where was I awkward, or was I too young, or was I too old? Well, that's childhood. And then you get to adulthood, and then it's a whole different other, am I this or am I that? And then all of a sudden, I think, people like that get to where you are in life, in the gracious space of gratitude, leadership, and coaching, and just bringing it forward. It's such an honor to have you in our community.
Thank you.
So much of our community is seeing, even just the welcomes. I always look, and there you are. It is so important. It's so missing. This it's so missing, and you got it when we first talked, and that's what this show is about. This show is about when people call you, they pick up at John, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah.
That's what we want. That's what we're missing.
It's relationships, and everybody needs to understand that. And I think I do understand that. You know what, business is great, and getting deals is fantastic. But you know what, relationships are much more than that. I can go get a business deal for whatever amount it is, but if you've got no relationship with that person, when you've got to sell again next year.
You do.
But if I build a relationship with that person, I've already sold.
That's right.
I don't need to sell. He's already brought me. He's not buying my brand. He's buying me. He's buying what I believe into. He's buying my vision. He's buying my philosophy and my passion and my drive and my ambition. And my job is to build that relationship and have that. I don't ever need to sell to that person again, because that is selling is impersonal. Selling is, you're doing a bit of a selfish act. Of course you are. You're trying to get somebody to, whether you're selling a product or a service or whatever it is, you're asking someone to part with some money. Whether that's a product or whether it's physical cash, it's the same, right? We're asking someone to give me something in return, and it's quite impersonal. And of course you have to do that initially, because that's just the game. But it doesn't mean it has to always be like that. Why not get to know the person? Why not create a relationship? Why not help each other? What else can I do for you? What else? I know that you've given me this, but what else can I do to help and support? And build something more. And you never need to sell that person ever again. And no matter what happens, you've always got someone to go back to. Hey, how you doing? Oh my God, I haven't seen you for months. How are you? That to me is so important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, I comment every time somebody joins. I'm the first person to comment on Twitter, on LinkedIn. And yes, I spend stupid amounts of time on LinkedIn, probably more than most people. But it is also important for me to talk to people and introduce to people. I've got to know so many of your members over the last few weeks. It's been fantastic. And then introducing them to other people, creating another network group between us. I was saying, I know a guy that does that for you. Right. 1 second, let me get you his name. I spoke to him last week. Even if we can't help each other, not every meeting I go into means we come out with something. We don't get sponsored every time I have a meeting. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it doesn't mean I can't help that person. Actually, I know who can help you. Right. Let me get this guy's name. Let me reach out to him for you. Rather than just give an email address, I don't do that either. I introduce people. Hey, you said you needed this. Talk to this guy. Help each other. It's called a network for a reason.
That's right. It is. And we really do. Well, you make me think of a couple of things. In my I wanted to study business psychology because I love business and I love people. And putting those together, I just thought was the most brilliant thing ever when I heard about this program. And I I've been watching esports because I watch industries, and I've led, managed, built, and worked in over 20 different industries. And this industry is so interesting. Well, this is where my miss was. Um, Go out and play, be with friends. Where we missed it was the kids were being with friends. Their friends were, it wasn't a video game being played alone.
Correct.
It was a community
Yeah.
that was being built.
We were socializing, we
Exactly.
were talking, we were learning
That's
from each
right.
other. And a matter of fact, we were doing the best socializing you could ever do because we were doing it from different people, from different countries, from different backgrounds. And you would never get that mixture in school, and
That's
never,
right.
ever locally, ever be able to get that amount of different people from so many different environments in one place to talk and have something similar in common, and drive to a common goal. And there's just nothing else that exists that can do that. And esports did that, and it still does that today. And that's why it's really, really crucial that the education sector ties into esports and they get involved and they allow, let's push kids into doing esports if that's what they want to do. They will learn much more. Some of my best friends I've got live thousands of miles away from me. The one particular guy that I have known for 18 years through gaming, and he lives in Iceland. He'll travel every couple of years. He will come here. He will see me. He will get a local hotel and stay and spend some time with me, my wife, and then we will then go back over to Iceland the following year, and we will go spend some time with him and see each other. I met this guy from playing Counter-Strike, and I cannot see him for 6 months. The minute you get us on a call, it's like we've been back together like 18 years ago. And it's incredible, the relationships that you can build from thousands of miles away and learning from different cultures and have a different understanding of what other people do, all from just playing a game, because it's not just a game.
It's beyond the game.
Absolutely. I'm sure that was the World Cyber Games theme tune, actually, Beyond the Game.
Yeah. Wow. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And so what's next? What's next for you? What's next for 7 a.m.? What do you have cooking?
Wow. I don't want to give too many leaks away. I mean, of course,
Okay, that's all right.
we're going to continue to expand our brand. When we created 7 a.m. and the brand, it was done with another purpose than just gaming. We made and we wanted the brand to be very versatile, that we could take this brand, put it elsewhere in another business that has nothing to do with esports, and it still look and feel like a normal brand. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we have another 7 a.m. brand cooking that has nothing to do with gaming, but it will tie in very, very nicely. And it's all around our brand and the look and the feel of our brand. That is probably one of the biggest plans for 2021, is to get this brand out and to get that business running, and of course continue expanding, continue helping and supporting people and empowering the people that are around me and that surround me, and continue to grow. I need more people. I need more people that want to join on my journey. I've got more room for people to come under my wing and to continue to learn from my experiences and me learn from them. Like I said, I don't know it all. I absolutely don't, and I don't ever believe I ever will. But I also learn at the same time. But I can give so much. So we're just going to continue to grow, and we're going to come and show the Americans what it's like to for an EU org to come out there. We're going to come show you guys how it's done.
Wow. I imagine that your first stop will be Florida, and there's a lot more happening there in the state.
There is. So I'm actually working with another organization out in Florida, in Miami. I'm providing them some support on a consultancy level. They are they're not a particularly young org in terms of the how long the business has been around, but they're young in their minds, but they really want it. For me, that's perfect. So I'm spending some time with these guys, helping them, supporting them, giving them some contacts. Already talked about them joining the ESTA, so don't worry, being somebody else coming your way.
That's awesome. I'm not worried. I talked to somebody this morning and they said, I'll call you in a couple of days. And I said, I'll be here. I mean, he said, but I've been watching. It's been 4 years. And I said, yeah, it's been very special. It's been, John, it's been the work of my life, which I'm sure you can say the same. And boy, my grandfather, he didn't go by grandpa. He went by coach. And he used to just say, never stop learning. And I love how coaching has been so accepted in this space, probably more than community, coaching, collaboration. Geez. I mean, those are like the 3 C's of esports.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Yeah. And I think coaching is still got a long way. I think coaching is I would say it's only recently accepted, especially from a player perspective. It wasn't the norm to have coaches back in the day. You would have your team of 5, and that was it. You had your team of 5, and you were expected to coach and learn from each other. And you had one person who was the in-game leader as such, and it was his responsibility to coach you, lead you, and still keep up with everybody else. And that was the job that I always took, because I naturally want to do that. I naturally want to take this lead, I always have this tactical thought process, from playing Counter-Strike, that worked very well. So I always took that lead and always took those extra responsibilities on. But you didn't have anybody else to do that. The coaches didn't exist. It was, I don't know. I couldn't put a timestamp on it, but it just kind of happened. All of a sudden, the big teams all of a sudden get an analyst and a coach, and then they get performance coaches, and it's grown into this something completely different to what it was 10 years ago.
Oh, for sure. And I've seen that in all sports. Here in Chicago, we have the Retired Basketball Players Association. And even in the evolution of my lifetime, seeing how athletes are treated and cared for from all levels, from more than nutrition, mental wellness, really truly caring for the human being. And that fascinates me, that the evolution of how much care we are giving as a community. When I grew up, I remember my brothers saying they wanted to be professional.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those athletes, as you know, the it's a rough road, right? And we all learn from that.
It is, and I still think they have lots more to learn from esports. Actually,
Sure.
We have took inspiration from them and other sports, forever, and to be that sport was always our dream. Actually, you always wanted esports to be a sport, and considered a sport. Do we need it to be that? Actually, I don't think we do. You know what? We're our own sport. We're esports. It's simple as, and we do things in a different way, and they can learn from us, because we still don't guide these youngsters who want to be professional athletes, whether that be soccer or NFL or baseball, and certainly over here in the UK, when it comes to football, they're just dropped like a stone. These 13, 14, 15-year-old kids who are ripped out of education, and almost told they're going to be a superstar.
That's
and
right.
Then actually they go, actually, you're not. So thank you very much. Back down into the system you go. I mean, what are we doing to these people? How do you deal with that trauma as a child mentally? And I'm sure some will thrive from that, but I'm sure most will not. Esports doesn't do that, because it's a much more gradual effect,
Right.
And most of the time you have a passion for esports, and it does start by playing with friends. So it starts much lower. It isn't this superstar, no superstar, goodbye. that you get in other sports, and esports does it in a better way. It still happens, right? It still does happen in esports, and I still don't think we all take mental health as seriously in esports as we should. And of course, it's the old keyboard warrior issue that we have, because people don't think they need to think about what they say, and they don't either care or aren't interested on how that message is perceived. And we have a long way to go for that. But that other issue doesn't really exist too much in esports. It's a much more gradual effect, and you enjoy what you're doing because you can just play for fun.
That's right.
It's a choice, and you don't tend to get that choice in other sports if you're really going for it.
Well, this has been just a great time that we've spent together, John Smith-Howell of 7am. What are your parting words?
Firstly, I want to thank you very much. This has been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed it. And I could talk esports forever, so apologies for taking a huge amount of your time. My parting words. I think it's important that we stay humble, and that whether you are a player wanting to be professional, whether you're a business wanting to run a successful business within esports, or anything in life. Just continue to learn. Every loss is a learning lesson. Always reflect, self-reflect, self-reflect, self-reflect. You can take so much from self-reflecting. Don't think about what happened to you. Think why it happened and what can you do differently, especially when it comes to gaming. The biggest tip I've given any professional player or any player who wants to play games is, why did you die in this game? Think why. What can you do differently? What could you have done to avoid that? And when you start thinking in this process and this particular way, your mind frame changes. Learn every time. Go into everything in life with structure. What do you want to get from tomorrow? What is it you want to get out of tomorrow? And make sure you get that out. And even if you lost, you still won, because you took something away, you learn from that, and then you can then use that to your advantage. And always be humble, win or lose.
Well, that's great parting advice. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you here and a member of the Esports Trade Association
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
from all the way across the pond.